with labels and sponsors, just not you. Think about that. You don't get paid, you don't get access, you don't get receipts. Access to our fans shouldn't be a privilege. It's our right. This is why we're building Prosper XO, created for artists by artists. And we're not just building technology, we're building a movement. A system rooted in transparency, protection, and sustainability for artists everywhere. Build with us at prosperxo.com.
Hello, welcome out everybody. Please take a seat when you get a chance. We're going to get started here. Welcome out to the third town hall of Prosper XO. How you guys doing today? Everybody good? Yeah? Don't be scared to sit in the front row. I want to see your beautiful faces. I want to see what type of moisturizer you use. Cool. So I'll kind of go over a roadmap today. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Zilly. I help out on the art direction and the marketing side of Prosper. And I made the video you just saw with Lauren. Make some noise for Lauren. And so roadmap for today, essentially, we have two really amazing artists, or I should say two amazing people in the music scene here in Austin. One is a Grammy-nominated artist, Tyrone Johnson, known as T-Double. We're going to do a Q&A with him. Give it up for T. And then we also have a Q&A that Lauren's going to be doing with Dan Redmond, the founder, community support for Mosaic Sound Collection, and Space Flight Records. Give it up for him. Amazing. So usually when we start these out, we kind of give an update on what we think is the most valuable information to provide in entertainment at the time. And this is changing all the time, as I'm sure you guys can see by keeping up on your Instagram and TikTok feeds. Let me introduce myself just briefly. I'm an artist, creative director, producer, so I work in different facets of creativity, but I am an artist first. It's what I love the most. Right now, there's a lot of things happening specifically in AI music, and this has been a soapbox that I've been proudly standing on because I think it's key to the future of music, to creatives, but this also leads into other industries, and I think it's going to change the world more so than it already has in just the past year. So when I speak to that specifically, I want to highlight a few platforms that I would consider are doing it wrong. And those you might be familiar with already, there is a platform called Suno. If you're familiar, then you know. If you don't, I'm about to tell you. Similar to Suno is, I would call its sister company, Udio. Essentially, these are AI music platforms that have scraped copyrighted music, that is your music, my music, and others, to train their algorithm. And they did this and admitted that they scraped copyrighted music because it was much cheaper for them to train their technology and bring a viable product to market. The issue is no artists got paid for it. So your likeness, your music has been used without your consent to create music that people are monetizing on. And it gets more and more interesting when you look at the interaction with music labels, when you think about the concept of music sync licensing and where all of that may go if we don't put a stop to it. Suno is really interesting because the CEO had a really interesting statement. He said that musicians don't like making music. It's not fun, that they don't enjoy it. They would much rather be doing something else than making music, which is completely false to me, and I'm sure it is to all of you. I think that's an extraordinarily tone-deaf statement to make. Now, when you look at another platform that's doing it wrong, it's not actually an AI distributor, but it's somebody who supports it, and that's going to be Spotify. You know, we all have our issues and concerns around what Spotify has done and what they are doing. But recently, you may have heard of the Velvet Sundown, Aventus, or The Devil Inside. These are all AI bands that have charted over 1.1 million monthly listeners for Velvet Sundown, 1 million for Aventus, 600K for The Devil Inside. These aren't real people. These are AI. That should be alarming. That should ring some bells. And the second part of that is Spotify supports this. They actively playlist this. They put this in positions where you or I would want our music to live to hopefully launch our careers or just to build a sustainable income on. That's really interesting to me, and I think it's something that everybody should be really concerned about. Timbaland is also creative director at Suno. If you've been watching anything on social media about Timbaland, he's been in the fire for essentially taking real music produced by an artist, putting it into Suno platform, like on his live stream, and getting caught. And there is an ongoing case right now with that. So there's a lot of interesting things that are kind of moving and shaking. At the same time, there are some people that are doing it right. Deezer, for example, is a music platform that is doing what Spotify isn't doing. They're flagging and tagging AI music. They are refusing to pay out people that are creating AI music to monetize on. And just so you get a bigger picture of this, 18% of the music now loaded to Spotify allegedly is AI music. That's pretty interesting, right? It's concerning when you think about how many songs are put on the platform every day and what you have to compete with. So now you are no longer just competing with your fellow artists, but you're competing with a technology that's designed, optimized, and has pulled millions and millions of pieces of research to create the definitive, most effective piece of music. That is what we are competing against. So I guess the question comes down to, why is this happening? And I would say that this is happening because artists are the most vulnerable and undervalued class, in the world. Artists, painters, cinematographers, people that make films. We're at risk, and I think we've already had a history of predatory behavior from record labels, and now this is being echoed by big tech, which you can argue all labels are now moving into big tech. The other reasons are it's high margin monetization, right? If you don't have to pay an artist, you get 100%, right? The other part is control. I don't have to put gummy bears in Jimmy's green room because he's not real. It's AI, right? So that artist will do whatever you need them to do. The future of music around AI is a little bit stark, but I do think there's capability for us and for the market to shift that. So what can we do? We need a framework to respond. One thing would be a trademark, which is what's happening right now in Denmark. So you're finding that the citizens, the general public, is able to basically trademark their likeness, their visuals, their voice, etc. That should be active, I think, by 2026. What that means is if anybody uses them in deep fakes or takes their image, likeness, their voice, and uses it in some type of media that they monetize on, or even if they don't, the person who owns and holds that trademark is able to sue them, to get some type of compensation, to cease and desist, to ask for takedowns, etc. I think that's super important, not just in music, but that's going to bleed over into the world in general, right? So that's one thing that people are doing actively right now. You can also vocalize and share, which is what we do at Prosper XO. We talk about these things a lot because they're very important, and it's happening right now. You can also remove your music from the platforms, right? If you also do not know, Daniel Ek put a lot of that money into AI military defense. So all of the money that was hard earned by musicians, slaving away, creating in their studios, trying to make something that potentially is to make the world better, that profit has been used for a war machine. Some people are protesting that by completely getting rid of Spotify, that from the listener point of view, and then artists are also removing their music. So these are just things to be aware of. Somebody told me one time, listen to people when they tell you who they are. I think Daniel Ek has told us exactly who he is and exactly what he cares about, and it's not artists. Quick side note, everybody that works at Spotify calls themselves bandmates, but none of them are in bands. So questions to leave you with, just one, and then we'll move forward here. This is something I thought about a lot, and I just want to put it on your mind so it maybe gives you a directive, throughout your process or through your day or through your week to kind of consider what is at stake. The question is this. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up. Why is AI aggressively targeting art, music, visual art, and cinema? Is it because art has a deep and powerful connection with revolution? I'll leave you guys with that. And on that note, I'd like to introduce Lauren Bruno, one of the co-founders of Prosper XO. Let me cue up her speech here. There, I think I got it. You're good to go. Give it up for Lauren.
Yay. Thank you, Z. That was very informative. Thank you so much. I wrote down what I was going to say as well because I'm so inspired by artists, and sometimes I get verklempt talking to all of you. And so I want to make sure I wrote down what I want to say. Thank you, Zeely, for that, by the way. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If this is your first time at Prosper XO Town Hall, we're so happy to have you here. Very, very happy and thankful. We are here because we care about people. We care about the human beings behind the music, the stories, the struggle, the journey, the soul of it all. And you care too. Art is a lifeline. In this new age of AI and automation, we face a critical moment. Technology is moving faster than policy, faster than protection. Voices are being cloned, data is being scraped, and decisions are being made without artists at the table. But here's the truth. Human creativity is not replaceable, and it's not for sale without consent. Now more than ever, it is our responsibility to build the systems that preserve our humanity, to create reform, not just react to harm, to build sustainability for artists, for culture, and for the future of human expression. Music sustains us. Emotionally, music has been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. A 2024 study published by Harvard Medical Journal found that listening to music decreased levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Spiritually, music is deeply tied to sacred practices across cultures. A study in psychology of music found that music enhances feelings of transcendence, connectedness, and purpose. Socially, music strengthens bands and fosters belonging. A Frontiers in Psychology study showed that adolescents who made music with peers felt a stronger sense of identity and community. Group music making has been shown to increase oxytocin and empathy. And financially, the creative economy is enormous. Music alone generated over $36 billion globally in 2024. Arts and culture as a whole contributed over $1.1 trillion to US GDP, representing not just dollars, but jobs, healing, identity, and community. At Prosper XO, we believe the people behind the music deserve sustainable career paths rooted in equity, deeper connection, control, transparency, and protection. And that's why we're building solutions, not just technology, but human-centered pathways grounded in education and deep listening. Because with any true systematic change, it begins here. With listening, with community, with care. These town halls are a piece of that. They're a space for conversation, for action, for connection, because when artists rise, they don't rise alone, they lift entire ecosystems with them. We also honor the artists, organizers, and visionaries who came before us, the ones who paved the way with their voices, their struggle, their brilliance. Thank you, Dan Redmond and Tierney Johnson. Because these moments didn't come from nowhere, it's rooted in legacy and the past. And it's our responsibility to carry it forward with purpose. This is bigger than one city or one scene. We're here to build a stronger future, one where artists everywhere can truly prosper. Thank you again for being here. We're so excited for the guest speakers tonight, and stick around for the open town hall afterward where you could share your voice. Can't wait to hear from all of you. Next up, we're having Dan Redmond as our first guest speaker. So I'm going to ask him up here. This one?
Yeah, both of them.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yay.
And a microphone.
And a microphone.
Yay.
Thanks.
Ooh, you want to sit here, Dan? Okay. Oh. Is this on? Hello? Oh. Ooh. Sorry.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. It's so amazing to see all of you here. Thank you for being here. Dan, I can introduce you, but I would much prefer you introduce yourself. You
I'd
are
rather
incredible.
you introduce me.
Yeah?
Well, my name's Dan Redmond. I am a big music advocate and fan. I still work in the music industry. I have a record label called Spaceflight Records, which is a nonprofit record label here in town that I'm a part of. And I started another nonprofit some years ago called Mosaic Sound Collective, which we had a building in East Austin, just east of 183 on MLK, which was a former juvenile detention facility that we were repurposing. We had recording studios, rehearsal space, backline gear rental companies. We were doing education. We wanted to create a sustainable nonprofit model for creatives, a place to create, to build, to create all of the resources that musicians and artists need. And it was going great. We had just signed a partnership agreement with Val Kilmer before that infamous March 13th of 2020, when everything kind of fell apart with the pandemic. And we lost our space. We were working on affordable housing for creatives and pretty much doing everything we wanted to do to create a sense of community and collaboration instead of competition, which is still my mantra in the creative sector, is we need to be working together, not competing for the same paltry pennies when we've got the AI that's being described and when we've got all these bad actors like Spotify and those that are, creating platforms that aren't promoting artists, they aren't paying artists. We've got to fix that, and I think the only way we can fix it is through community.
Absolutely. I actually met Dan because his sons were in an under 18 band called Residual Kid, and they were badass. Oh my gosh. Every chance I got to book them or learn more about them and get to know Dan was just an incredible experience and super inspiring to see kids in the industry, and really talented kids, and really a love for music and creating music. So we'll talk more about them because they went on to get signed with a major label, and I'm sure you have some stories to tell about that. But I wanted to just really start and talk about, what inspired you to get into the music industry, and what do you love about music? What's your perspective on why it's so invaluable?
Well, I grew up and spent all of my allowance money at the record stores, and I would go and I would stand up at the bin right by the register, and I would just thumb through the same records over and over again for hours just to listen to the people behind the counter, to hear what they were listening to. Before there was internet, before there were smartphones, it was just like I wanted the inside scoop for my school friends. That was in
Awesome.
junior high school, I guess.
What record stores?
So I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Nope, don't judge. But it was called Vinyl Fever, which is no longer there. The demise.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Exactly. But and I played a little bit of everything, and so I played in bands, but mostly for parties and girls, and didn't take it as seriously as I wanted to. And so when I went to University of Florida, I played in a couple of bands, and I DJ'd at one of the clubs in town, and
I didn't know that,
enjoyed.
Dan. A DJ?
That's-
What?
Still do, yeah. But and then when my kids, so I had all the instruments around, and when my kids were born, my oldest son, who's now living in Brooklyn and is 26, which is crazy,
Wild.
he would sit at my lap at my drum kit, and he wasn't just making noise, he was, kind of figuring out what sounds each made. I was like, this is something. And so when they became better musicians than I became a very good supporter and roadie. So I did that for a number of years, and it's just been in my blood. And so I've always had the need to give back. And so in starting I'm in the wine business, which is how I pay for all my other stuff. But in doing that, I realized that when my kids were musicians, that having people like you growing up in Austin and having support structure like yourself that put them on stages, their peer group wasn't other kid bands necessarily, except for a band that there's a band called the Tiaras, if you don't know them. They grew up with my kids, and the father
They're
who was
amazing.
the dual roadie with me. But I realized that their peer group wasn't just other kid bands, but it was bands that put all their eggs in the music basket. They either went to school and got degrees in music and were doing all these things as the industry was collapsing. And I say industry is not collapsing. What's challenging is the monetary side of it. And so it really became my just a fire in my soul to do what I could to help.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started it.
So how did your journey in music and then the business world evolve into like the community nonprofit aspect, and what kind of led you to be like, okay, I want to build something like Mosaic Collective?
Well, it really started with having lots of musicians like yourself who I realized that had great talents. And some of those, one would be a screen printer that needed a website for their band. And he knew the web designer in another band, but they didn't talk about that. They only talked about music. And so I really became a conduit, just connecting people, which I've always been really good at. And I realized that as I was seeing, we live in this great city that has this bullshit trademark called the live music capital of the world, but we're not supporting the artists, and that's something that I really want to fight for to help. And so during that whole process, I started working on a business model to create a sustainable nonprofit that's not always in fundraising mode, but that is creating enough that, because Austin has one of the highest concentrations of nonprofits in the country, if not the world.
Oh, wow.
But they're all competing against one another for the same dollar. And so all of these music nonprofits, at the time I started Mosaic Sound Collective, I think it must have been like 500 different music nonprofits, many of them doing the same thing as another one. And it was like, well, that's not really, they're all competing for the same dollar. If I have $100 to give to a nonprofit and I'm, being presented by 5 different people, they all want my $100, not to split it $20 each.
Right.
And that's a problem. I think that in the nonprofit world, giving back is something we should all be doing. In the creative sector, we have to support the artists. We won't have art if we don't support the artists.
Right.
And so that's really what drove me to create it.
Yeah. So you were just trying to build a more sustainable infrastructure.
Yeah. And
really, I was so inspired by what you were doing too, because looking at artists from an entrepreneurial viewpoint, right? Because in my opinion, I think artists are entrepreneurs, and they are brands, and they are very, very valuable. And so I was always just like, yeah, Dan, like supporting that infrastructure and the business infrastructure. Also, from my perspective in Austin, there's so much support, so much resource, but I do think we need more business infrastructure here, especially for artists, which leads me to my next question. What were you seeing then? What are you seeing now that you think, from your viewpoint, is missing from the artist infrastructure? And it doesn't have to just be in Austin, also seeing what your sons went through as musicians. Is there something that stands out that you think is missing? And then to follow that up, what do you think is working and people should be focusing on?
Well, it's funny, Tierney, who's a good friend that I've been, as I was doing my nonprofit stuff, he and I were going about it the same way and immediately connected. We were in a group together, all ATX, and we were, just a collaboration of really smart people that all knew different things. And just getting us all in one place was so powerful. But one of the things we were talking about when we met just today, and I haven't seen him in far too long, I'm sorry to say, but it feels like when I grew up, DIY punk was it. It was like you do it yourself. There were no. It's like you do everything. You're promoting yourself. You're playing your butt off. You're playing house parties, not booking every club in a bunch of different places, but you were playing because that's what you wanted to do. And to me, we need to find a way to keep ourselves inspired. And I feel like what we can do, or what I feel like I can do, is try to keep artists inspired. And by doing that, I think that it's getting back to that ethos of the DIY punk model, which is, hey, we have to be our own, we have to be our self-promoters. We have to go out there, but we need to collaborate instead of compete. I remember when I moved here, which was in the early 90s, and I ran a couple of restaurants here in town, all the bands would come. And if there was a touring band coming through and we were fighting for that support slot and your band was more appropriate, we would say, hey, Lauren, your band should be the one, not mine. But then it got to the point where everybody's fighting for that one spot.
Right.
And it just becomes, more aggressive and less collaborative. And I feel like we have to get back to that. It doesn't matter what genre it is. I think we just have to do what we can to support artists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what has kept me here and I think brought me here to Austin is that collaboration aspect. And you do see in the community, I mean, and tell me if you guys see this too, but I do see people really willing to help one another out as artists and promote as much as they can and work together as much as they can. What I don't see enough of is at that, promoter level or booking agent level or even South by level. There's kind of this lack or maybe disconnection between the independent artist community with bigger platforms on that level. I'd like to see more connection between those two pieces again, because that's how, which is interesting, that's how South by started, right? So I think you're absolutely right. I would love to hear more about just your perspective from an artist, being a musician. What have you experienced and found that you love?
Well, now I would say I'll speak through the parental eyes of supporting my kids, because my performance is limited to I DJ once a month or whenever I can in town. But my kids are both still performing musicians. My oldest lives in Brooklyn, is living his best life. He's bartending and playing in probably 8 different bands. He plays in a band called Annual Notice by Trail of Dead and tours with them a couple times a year. But also plays in, I'll find out on social media that he's playing in a new band, and he'll play drums in a couple of them, guitar in another. I'm like, how do you even keep up with it? He's like, I know the timing. It's like, okay. But to me, I want to encourage them. It's like, artists need to make art, and one of the mentors I had, I think it was at All ATX, had a really good quote that I still use, and it's, art without commerce is just a hobby. We have to figure out how to convert that, to make sure that artists are making art, but that they can find a way to make money and monetize it. One of the things that Tierney's, really into, that I'm sure he's going to talk about, but I'm going to put him on the spot and make sure he does, is sync and licensing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge
absolutely, we'll talk
thing.
about that.
And so Spaceflight Records, which I'm, proud to be a part of, and I'm
please talk more about them.
So what we're doing as a nonprofit model, as a record label, is we're doing all of the things that a record label would do. My kids got signed to Warner Brothers when they were 14 and 16 at South by Southwest by Seymour Stein, who discovered the Ramones and Talking Heads, and I'm a legend. And it's what South by used to be. Well, the contract we got was a really crappy 360 deal, and they said we don't negotiate. Well, my kids were living at home. They didn't need the money. They just wanted to play music and skateboard, and that was all they wanted to do. That was about the end of it. And so we had a really good attorney, and they had a management company that said, we're going to pass. We're going to say no to Warner Brothers, where 99% of artists that get a contract are just going to sign it thinking, the clouds are parting, we're going to get this great deal, mostly to sell their souls when they're not going to make a penny for a long time, if ever, through the record label. And so that was a big education for me. And what I love about Spaceflight Records, and we're doing the best we can. I mean, we've got some great sponsors. Wild Turkey, I think, is going to get up to $500,000 with us this year. Tito's is a big supporter. But what we're trying to do is make sure that 100% of money goes to artists. And so we help with the legal side of it. We help with the marketing side of it. We help with the sync and licensing. And then we build those platforms, and we make sure that any of bands on our label are getting paid a fair wage to play. They're not being offered, hey, this is going to be a great exposure. You can't pay your rent with exposure.
Yeah, no,
So-
absolutely. Let's dial back. So, because I think this contract with Warner Brothers, I remember us talking about it and just hearing about it too.
It sucked.
Well, so can you, if you're comfortable, can you talk more about the 360 deal, and for those that don't know about what that is, and yeah, just talk more about what they maybe were offering and what you guys weren't happy with and why.
Yeah, so basically what it was is we were committed to this wonderful deal with, it was Sire Records was the division of Warner Brothers where the Smiths and every band that I loved when I was growing up were signed to Sire when I was like, and I got to meet Seymour Stein. But it was a deal that the band didn't make, they were committed to recording a couple of 4 albums, and they didn't make any money until the label recouped pretty much everything, and it was sucktastic, I like to say. It was, so after a year of saying no, Seymour Stein finally, and he thought it was my fault that I was just being an asshole, when I was just like, no, I know a lot of musicians that are struggling, and my kids aren't struggling. They wouldn't be in front of you, and they wouldn't be on this label if it wasn't for this community that we have in Austin. Those are the people that I'm, fighting for. And so the fact is that, my kids aren't in this for the money. And so after a year of saying no, we finally got it to a deal where until my kids made more than I think it was $5,000 a show as a band, they got all the proceeds from their touring. So it was something that the power of no is powerful. It's just
So
difficult.
powerful, yeah.
It's difficult when you're the artist, to be able to say no, especially when you've got these power brokers and these people who, act like they know everything, but they don't.
Yeah. So for artists that maybe don't have like legal support or someone so experienced in the industry, what would you say their first step should be when getting offered a label deal?
Well, first and foremost, if if you have the opportunity to get a label deal, please call me because I'm happy to give any advice that I personally have. But there are a lot of great resources here. I mean, Tyranny's one of them. He and I have become good friends through the years.
He's about to speak. He's our next guest speaker, so stick around.
I mean, there's just so many people at our fingertips here in Austin that just want to make music. And
Yeah.
so I think that having, resources of people that want to help, facilitate, whether that be a label deal or a sync and licensing thing, if you make great music, but it's all, you're not a lyricist. You're making instrumentals and things like that. There's still outlets, and there are a lot of great bands that have, no singers, and so the AI thing really drives me crazy. As so Zelia, thank you for that great reading. That was fabulous. Why aren't we getting AI out of the creative sector and just say, hey, fix diseases, do the things that matter, leave artists alone. I don't know how we'll ever get to that because everybody wants to just take away from the creative side of it, but that's what we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that answers the question at all.
Well, what I'm hearing is that education and community is really important. And here in Austin, we do have a lot of legal resources. We actually have a lawyer here. Hello, Jake. Thank you for being here. He's incredible. And you've been releasing videos on social media, and it's all about education. Thank you for spending time and doing that. I think really as an artist, and what you did as a dad, I think, and what your kids are doing and continue to do is really educating themselves around right steps, right? And talking, if you don't know something, ask somebody that does, right? And what's so cool about Austin is I feel like we could all go up to each other, and if we don't know something, we could just ask, or we can reach out. And that's also one of the positive parts of social media. I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, how is social media for you guys? And Spaceflight Records, what's a perspective of where you guys are coming from with social media?
It's interesting because I feel like I'm really bad at it, but it's necessary, and I think that when you're an artist and self-promotion is a big part of what we're doing, it's what we preach, so we get people that are hounding us, trying to get in, and I wish we could just open the floodgates and, support every artist, but it's difficult, so we're trying to do this methodically, and so social media, self-promotion, everything that you can do. And, I really tried to teach my kids when all they want to do is skateboard. It's like, you got to be out there. People need to know who you are. And practicing the art of self-promotion is something that shouldn't be a bad word. And with social media being so accessible, sometimes to a fault, but having access to good people and resources and things like that. One of the things I wanted to talk about that we did at Mosaic Sound Collective is we created Mosaic EDU, and I wanted it all to be free. So all these resources that were willing to do legal classes and marketing classes and stuff, we're willing to do it for free, but what we wanted to do was have people engaged in the community. So what we built, I built a blockchain model to reward volunteerism. And so if you volunteered, not just at Mosaic, which you helped paint a lot of the walls there, but any of the nonprofits that you want to support would be credit to get you into classes. It would give you some sort of a way to pay for it.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is we need to connect more with our fans and with our community and trust each other, because regardless what's going on in platform capitalism or in social media, at the end of the day, we have ourselves as artists to look to and the people that support us. And I think that's overlooked with social media today.
Right.
Like it's, we've become so connected to what's happening through social media that sometimes it's easy to forget the value we have connecting with ourselves. Do you want to talk any more about Mosaic Collective in general? Anything you think people here would be interested in? Because it was just such a big thing you were doing. Also, you mentioned with Spaceflight, you're starting to work with brands. Do you want to talk a little more on that?
Well, again, in trying to do everything as a nonprofit model, we don't always want to have be in donor mode where it's and after, and this is long before the pandemic, and I'm included in this, we all have donor fatigue. Everybody wants something. And so I feel like that if we are going to create something in a true sustainable model, we have to do it through collaboration, meaning that you're going to use all your resources and you're not always going to be out there in fundraising mode, but to create something that's marketable, that you can have monetized. And so those might be something you haven't even considered. It's and I think that I was just starting to talk to Tierney about the licensing and syncing and where he's been with it. But it's fascinating to me. And to me that if some of the resources that are probably in this room and those many that are outside of this room, but in the city, we just need to get them in these rooms like this. So I appreciate what you're doing. It's terrific.
Well, thank you for being here, Dan.
Sure.
I guess one of the last questions I had for you, and then feel free to say anything else on your mind, but what do you hope for the next generation of artists and the industry? What do you hope to see? I know that's kind of a big question.
It's again, I think that getting back to what I call the DIY punk model, which is going out and seeing music, making sure that music is always accessible, but I don't want to get lazy in, we have all this music at our fingertips 7 days a week. I think we can't, as music fans, we can't become complacent. We have to make sure that we're doing what we can, buying the songs, buying the merch, doing what we can to support the artists, and making sure that we're spreading the word. I think that that's the power of social media, is telling people about a band they've never heard of, and seeing that spread is something that I feel like that genie in the bottle is, we just have to keep that fire going and make sure it's we're perpetuating it.
So basically, you want the next generation of artists to be more punk rock,
yes.
is what I'm hearing,
yes.
essentially, right?
Yeah.
I want that. Do we want that? Yeah! Well, it was so lovely talking with you. I want to open it up to anybody who has questions. Also, if you want to say anything more about Spaceflight or anything you're working on, feel free, but I do want to open it up for questions for Dan. Dan has been in this community for a really long time, and he's just a really incredible person. So if anybody has questions for Dan, anybody? Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Dan, I wanted to just hear from you for a second. I think I recall that Spaceflight, you guys return the masters to the artist eventually?
We don't keep the masters ever. We
I'd
do
like to know
everything
more
for the
about
artist.
that and how that works.
So basically what we're doing is we're the conduit. We're basically doing everything that we can. So the people that we have on board are producers, we're promoters, we're sound guys, and things like that. So basically what we're doing is making sure that all of the resources that we have access to, we're putting those people in the right places, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Does anybody else have some questions? Oh, wait. Oh, you have a mic. Oh, okay. Does anybody else have questions?
And by the way, the Mosaic model, while we did have the building and we lost it, it is something that's not going away. So it's still, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Just trying to find a new place. My goal was always to repurpose buildings as opposed to building from the ground up. And so all the shopping malls that are going away should be creative spaces, and all these places that you're seeing torn down and
Yeah.
leveled for McMansions, there's so many places that can be repurposed for pennies on the dollar for creatives.
Is there any way we can support you right now in this moment, or are you looking towards that in the future?
It's in the works. So I would say if you want to check out Spaceflight Records, to see what we're doing, it's a lot of the same. Brett Orison, who's the founder, I was helping him build the nonprofit model as I was doing the Mosaic Sound Collective model. So, yeah, there are no real industry trade secrets here. We're just trying to create a sense of community and make it bigger.
Yeah. Is there any artists here that have questions for Dan or Spaceflight or? Maybe? No? Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks, David.
Hey Dan,
I got it.
I'm Jake Davidowitz. As you've heard, I'm a music attorney, and I was wondering if you could just talk about, with Spaceflight, since it's a nonprofit, if you guys go out and spend like a certain amount of money putting together an album for an artist or marketing and promoting, is that money that you expect to do you make it back through the sales of the album, or is that just essentially a donation?
So what we're creating is fellowships, and so we have only a certain number of bands that we can on our limited budget currently, but we're hoping to have that explode with more money. But basically we don't make a penny from it. Everything that we're doing is self-supported, and every penny goes to the artist. And so
Wow.
if we're getting them licensing agreements, we have resources that help track that. But everything we're doing is strictly to support the artists.
Great.
That's a model I could stand behind. That's amazing. Any more questions? Okay.
Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody for coming out.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much, Dan.
Sure.
And feel free to connect with Dan or Spaceflight Records after too, or in the future. Next, we are going to have Tierney Johnson. Where is he? Where's Tierney? Oh my gosh. Hi. Okay. Well, come on down. Z's going to do that interview. Really excited. Yeah.
Trade.
Okay.
Give it up for Lauren, guys. And keep it going for Tierney Johnson. What's up, brother? How you doing? Oh, there it is. I haven't learned that one yet.
That's the new shit.
Man, it's thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I've known you for a long time, so I feel like I've earned the right. Tell me if I'm wrong to call you T. Can I call you T?
Of course you can. You call me Tierney.
we're going
Everybody
with
can
T.
call me Tierney. You can give me my government name.
Okay, whichever you like.
Yeah.
So you've been in the music scene here in Austin, for a long time, and you've really left an amazing imprint on the scene, but also outwards, right? I know that you're a big proponent of sync licensing, and you've really mastered that craft in a way that I think should be talked about more. And I think that it's a model that artists should figure out how to bring into their creative platforms. So I have a few questions for you in general, and then we'll kind of dig into some of that. Cool?
Cool.
So let's go with a nice general softball toss. What inspired you, sir, to get into music?
I think I was more inspired by my dad just playing a bunch of records when I was young. Like nobody in my, I play different instruments, I do all that, but nobody in my immediate family did that. But my dad always played records. I would always sit in front of the speakers when he was playing, Prince, Funkadelic, the OJs,
The good
whatever.
stuff.
And my dad would always say, just listen within the music. Right, you can listen to the overall, stereo version of it, but listen to what the drums are doing, listen to what the bass is doing. And he wasn't a musician, but he would just listen to the art that's painted within that. There's so much going on, and so from there I just let me start writing poetry, and then I would go to Sears. I've told this story before. I would go to Sears,
Okay,
and I would take my dad's blues tapes that he would record KZI on. And I would go to Sears and I would get one of the Casios and put it in front of the boombox section. And I would record my demos in Casio. At Sears.
I love
and
that.
every Sunday my mom would go and I would record like 5 or 10 songs. And then I would go to elementary school and sell those. So when some kids were selling bags of chips
Right.
or cinnamon sticks, I was selling $5, $10 cassette
You're
tapes.
slinging these tapes.
I was on it. So I knew early on.
That's amazing, man. I love that. Speaking about that kind of,
And real quick,
Yeah.
and from that, I mailed my first demo to Warner Brothers Records at 8 years old too. So
bro,
early on, I
savage
was
out here.
there.
This
Early on.
guy.
I'm where
love
I'm
it.
supposed to be.
No, you absolutely are where you're supposed to be. I think it's amazing, and I think going back to that core memory of hearing your dad's connection with music and you being able to also understand and learn from him and his passion for music. One side question I just have to ask is, do you have those records, and how big is your record collection right now?
I probably have maybe 5,000 records split between my house and my mom's house. But
I was about to say
I do have my dad's records. I do
Okay.
have those records.
That's amazing, man. I mean, those are the type of memories that you have, kind of compressed in this physical talisman almost that's really
100%.
magical, man. So that's very
100%.
cool. Okay, so let me keep going here. Here's a question for you. What was the one key moment in your career that kind of changed and shifted your perspective and reaffirmed, hey, you were on the right path. This is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Was it selling the mixtapes at school, or was it sending it off to the label? What was that one key moment for you?
I think the key moment to me was probably when I mailed my first demo to Warner Brothers Records.
Yep.
I saved up my money. Back then, from the east side downtown was considered far.
Yep.
Right, so you had to take like 2 or 3 buses, and went with my mother and went to the post office and stood on my tiptoes and gave them the money to mail that demo, and they wrote me back and they were like, this sounds great. The usual rejection letter. It was a rejection
Right.
letter, right? Let's be real. But for a kid, it was like, wow, they wrote me back. I feel
Right.
seen now.
Right.
And to be in Austin, where there wasn't a lot of black artists that I saw who were like really doing it, right? Even though I was born around the corner from Victor Grill, I didn't see a lot of hip hop artists. Hip hop was still kind of new, so I didn't see any of that. So when they wrote me back, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I knew at that moment, that's it.
Yeah, the light switch, and I would argue that's a far better letter than from Santa. I'm going to go with the
100%.
record label letter.
100%.
There's a lot of artists, in the music scene now, locally and beyond, that are kind of trying to navigate and figure out the right path to move forward, right? The record industry has changed. Streaming has completely shifted things. Now with the implementation of AI in music, you have a whole different adversary to compete against, right? But I think you've really carved out a unique niche in the form of sync licensing.
Right.
And even for myself as an artist, I've had some really cool opportunities with Sync. I had 1 year that changed my life for a few years off of one Sync check, right? So there's an amazing power in that space, and it also allows you to maintain some autonomy, which I think is amazing because that preserves your creativity without having to secede on any level of what it is you're trying to make.
Right.
And now I'm really focused on some of the things that you've done, which is building my digital asset so that I can kind of scale, right? So I can take one song, and I can make multiple dollars off of it, right? Multiple times.
Right.
So can you speak to me, just speak to a little bit about the power of sync licensing and maybe how you got into it specifically, and what the easiest entry point is for some of the artists here or aspiring artists in general?
Sure. I got into sync. I had met a lady at South by Southwest, and she cleared samples, she was doing all that. So I went to her panel, and during South by Southwest, a lot of artists, they day drink, they go to the parties, they're away from the convention center. I go to the legal panels, I go to these type of panels. That's just what I did. So I went to her panel, and hardly nobody showed up. It was maybe 10 people in there, so we all sat around, and I was like, do you do sync? Because I heard of it,
right,
but I didn't know what it was, right? So I said, do you do that? I wasn't looking for a sync deal. That wasn't my plan. I just wanted to know. So she connected me with a friend who does sync, who I still work with. And she called me and was like, hey, I heard you wanted to get into sync. I was like, yeah, just tell me about it. She was like, how many albums do you have? At the time, I had like 10 albums, 10 T-double albums. And she said, okay, I'll send you a contract Friday.
Yep.
And so just from me being cool and, me being sociable and me being real honest and authentic, like I'm not the best rapper, blah, blah, all that type of stuff. I just want to learn. I was able to get my deal, a situation without her even hearing my music.
Right.
And then the following week, I got my first sync, which was like a Ford truck commercial, like in Africa or something.
That's amazing.
So it was very, very quick like that. But I think the biggest thing was probably when I got the Breaking Bad placement, right?
Okay.
Because that's a very shifting moment.
Right.
They requested one of my songs for Breaking Bad. I had never watched the show, right? This was season 4, episode 1. Had never watched the show, and they were like, we want to use your song, and we want to give you X amount of dollars for it, right? And I was like, that's a good check, but I'm all about ownership. If you read any of my posts, I'm all about ownership,
Absolutely.
keeping it. And so I was like, well, maybe we can structure another deal. So I kept my publishing, I kept all my rights for it, and the deal was a non-exclusive sync, right? So that means I can take this same song and put it in multiple places, which I did. I put it in Breaking Bad. The same song is in Breaking Bad. It's in Rick and Morty season 8.
Right.
It's doing some stuff with Fortnite, right? The same song. So that goes to back what you're saying about catalog, right? You can have one song that you think is old, that you don't perform, but it's still generating tons of revenue from that. So that's how I got into sync. And then by me having my own studio, me recording all the time, I always say catalogs matter, meaning that record all the time. Right? Record to have, not really so much to record to release. Because some people only go into the studio because they want to release a record. They want to put something out to the public. But you got to record to have that catalog. So when somebody approaches you for sync, they're going to say, let me hear something. You give them your EP. They're like, I like one song. What else do you have?
Right.
You only recorded the EP.
It's not enough.
It's not enough, right? So now you're rushing to make something new, and it sounds like trash because you obviously rushed.
Right.
So always record. And with sync, it doesn't always have to be mastered. It could be about a minute and a half of an idea that you have that's syncable, because once you give it to the supervisor or the editor or the director, they're going to add the post effects to it, right? They'll make it sound like it's in a bedroom or it's in traffic. They'll do all that. So artists, we need to stop overthinking the sync process and say it got to be mastered. It got to be this before somebody out here. This is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point that you made, because from an artist perspective, we sit in the studio, we create these ideas, we try to bring this song, into existence. But there's a lot of ideas that hit the editing floor that don't ever make it out. And having conversations with some of the people on my team now, they advise me, hey, that stuff is still gold. You can still take that and use it for possible sync or for sound packs, etc. So I think there's a lot of value in there that artists just don't realize. So I'm really glad that you made that point.
Yeah, and to the other part of that, artists in this room, you can go to Sync ATX. It's a group on Facebook, and that's where a lot of us sync supervisors, sync people meet up. Maybe once a month we all get together with artists and we get together with each other, and you can bring your music, and you can actually meet somebody. There's actually a thriving sync scene in Austin, but we're just kind of over here doing we're like the nerds, right? We sit at the nerd table.
Just over here.
We're not the jocks, right? We're kind of over here. We're not Zealy. We're not the jocks. We're over here, right? So it's happening here. You just got to get out more, get out the house. I think COVID made people more withdrawn and not really out as sociable. So You got to get back out. You got to shake hands. You got to kiss babies. You got to
Right.
meet people and say, hey, this is what I do. I want to
Right.
get into that. Ask questions, because somebody's always there willing to give you the answer.
Right.
And connect you to where you need to be.
And that echoes back to the story earlier where you were at South by Southwest and you decided
Yeah.
to kind of go and seek out this opportunity. So I think
Yeah.
always exploring is just a great tip in general for any musician.
100%.
Speaking to music supervisors, because I really do want to make this as transparent as possible for artists here that are interested in sync, which I would say that you 100% should be interested in sync, because it's one of the most viable, profitable ways to support yourself as an artist. And so this is what I would love to hear kind of broken down from you. There is almost this this chain or flow that a song will go through to get to its final sync destination, be that music supervisors, or maybe that's the director of the film or the TV show. Can you kind of just give us a little clarity around what that looks like, or the different forms that might exist in
Right.
now?
Well, yeah, like if you're going through, like an agent, or, if they're CD Baby or Taxi or somebody like that, right, and they want to place your song, then they'll take your song and they'll give it to the music supervisor, right? That's the first point of contact. They'll listen to it and say, there's potential here, maybe. They give it to the editor, who will sync it to film, right? That's the first sync. They'll put it to film and see how it looks. Then they'll give it to the director.
Okay.
So you can meet somebody in stage one who takes your song and you're like, I got to sync. There's still some more steps before that final yes, because it could get to the director and he could say, nah, it's not really working.
Right.
It's not really working. So you got to understand it's a slow process as well, right, to get up to that point. But as you do more syncs and you get a little bit more profitable and people get more known, then now I can go directly to the director. Now I can kind of, leapfrog.
You build that rapport.
Yeah, I built that rapport where I can kind of leapfrog over people and I go directly to them. And one thing that I do is, like, I have my own cloud server at my house. So whenever I make a track, I upload it to my server. The directors and supervisors and agents that I know, they all get an alert, right, that says T-Double uploaded a new song.
Yep.
So then they can go to their own particular folders on my server and listen to new songs that I upload. So if me and you decide to make a freestyle right now, I can upload it right now. They'll get
Right.
an alert that we did a new song and probably could get a sync from that, depending on what they're working on.
Bro, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I give you props on that. That's amazing. Take note, guys. I mean, that is an artist not just being creative, but building an actual framework and structure that allows them to scale, allows them to notify their network immediately, hey, this is a new asset that I put online for you to utilize.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible, man.
And also, to be able to ask more questions when a sync opportunity comes, right? Like somebody say, I want to use your music in a film and our budget is $1,000, right? That's cool, but then you can say, well, who's in the film?
Right.
Right? Because depending on the actor, that means their budget is big enough to afford that actor.
Kevin Spacey.
That
not
could be
doing
like,
that. We're not doing-
that could be like a $10,000 sync, $20,000 sync, right? And then you start understanding which part, where you want your music. Like some people say, my stuff is in the movies.
Right.
So I got, $50,000 to be in the movie, but sometimes trailers for that movie, like a Superman trailer, could be a $200,000 place.
Easily.
But you don't wind up in the movie, but you still got the $200,000. So you start understanding where to better maneuver your music,
Right.
where you get the bigger payoff.
Yeah, there's different ecosystems within sync, and I've experienced that where I've had songs on trailers and then I've had them in films or on TV shows, and obviously the payouts vary.
Yeah.
And as artists, we're always seeking that large payout, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really like a minimal amount of effort at that point, because they're just taking your assets, which is your instrumental, your acapella, etc., and they're putting maybe 10 I think one film I had a trailer was like 5 seconds,
Right.
and the check was crazy, and
Yep.
and I was like, yo, I need to do this more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But can you just highlight maybe a roundabout, like, here's numbers you can expect from TV, here's maybe numbers you can expect from film, and here's what you can expect if you land the theme song on a TV show?
Right. Well, it's still all subjective, right? Because it depends on the person you're talking to, your relationship to that person, right? Relationships matter.
Right.
Friends will always help friends.
Yep.
Business people will help you till they can't get any more money from you, right? So if I'm your friend and I got a great opportunity, I'm gonna make sure you get the most for that opportunity as opposed to this guy, right? So a lot of factors go into it to get it. But a TV, I've seen some TV placements like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. I've seen movies, like I said, like 80, 100,000.
Right.
Trailers, of course, 200,000, way more, right?
Right.
Theme songs, you know, that varies. It's all about how you negotiate, right?
Right.
Because you can say, I just want the publishing and not the money. When you do those type of deals, you benefit more, and they'll be more willing to make the deal because they're not coming out of pocket to pay you,
Right.
right? So you can say, okay, you know what? That's like with the Breaking Bad thing. I was like, y'all keep the money. I'll just take the stuff on the back end. And buy it on the back end, I was able to pay off my mom's house. I was able to get my crib.
Right.
I was able to get the gear that I have, all that continuously. Publishing's forever.
Yeah.
The money's for now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And-
Like, you
and-
got bills, you got kids, you got a car, you got a house. That 100,000 is gone.
Right.
But the publishing, your kids, their kids will continue to benefit from that particular thing.
And that's the unique opportunity that you have in Sync, is you have the ability to scale as an artist. You know, we can't go out and play 100 shows in one day, but we can have our music sourced to multiple music supervisors all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
So I think as a creative, it's just one of the smartest, if not the smartest thing that you can be doing to support yourself. I have a few more questions for you.
Yes.
That I want to dig into. So, Prosper XO, you're here now. This is one of our town halls, and Prosper is really seeking to empower artists by giving them information, by giving them access to their data, by figuring out how they can leverage what they've built to monetize in a fair, equitable way with brands and with other partners, etc. So, one of the slogans we have is "Power to the Creator." So I'm curious, what does that slogan, "Power to the Creator," mean to you?
It means ownership. It means dictating your future, right? Like, I learned that early on. Like, I've been with BMI since I was like 14. And even before then, I knew the power of owning my music and owning and dictating where I go with it, right? Because, you know, I like doing everything. I produce my music. I do all this stuff. So when other people are involved, to me, that slows me down. Because now I have to call somebody and, what's up with my music? Are you working it? Are you whatever? But when it's just me and I got the relationship, they call me.
Right.
And when you build those good relationships in the sync world, like about 5 years ago, I had a kidney transplant, right? And so while I was in the hospital making beats, I was in the bed, I was all cut up or whatever, my sync associates were getting me sync placements to help pay my medical bills. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy, bro. You just in the hospital with the NPC.
I was making beats. I was a dealer.
My God.
I was a dealer. So friendships matter, man. They matter. They matter.
You're absolutely right. I mean, some of the biggest opportunities I've gotten are from friends, right? And I think you always lead with value, and what is more valuable than a good friend than somebody you can always rely on. In different,
and those friends will teach you how to better structure your deals, right? Like, like when Transformers came out, Rise of the Beast, they wanted to use one of my songs because they were having difficulty getting another song
Right.
that wanted more. So I said, okay, you can use my song, but you got to pay me, which is rarely done, to pay me a holding fee. Meaning you pay me $50,000 just for me not to shop this track.
Right.
While you're still trying to work that out. And if that falls through, then we follow through and put my track into the movie. They ended up getting the other track, but I still made $50,000 off of Transformers.
Just getting bags out
So
here.
you just got to understand how to really, how to finesse it and how to really go in there and say, hey, let's try this deal. Because the thing is, record deals, because I worked at, I was on Good Vibes, which is through Interscope. I worked at Arista Records when it was here. Record labels have a structure that you have to stay within.
Right.
Right? Sync is free flowing. Some sync agents will say the deal is 50-50. Is it though? To me, that's a suggestion.
I was saying that in my next meeting.
That's a suggestion.
Is it though?
Is it though?
I like
You know what
it.
I'm saying? Like, really, 50? How about if I give you 18 and I keep the rest? Like, I've made deals like that years ago where they got 15% and I got what I get, and we've never discussed that deal again. It just grandfathered in. It just keeps
Right.
going. It just keeps going. Because I'm productive with the music, right?
Right.
Every morning I get about 10 briefs from projects, so they can go straight to their folder on my drive, pick the song they want. They can hit me and say, this movie wants to use that. Like Fortnite wants to use one of your songs from
Right.
2007. Are you cool with that? And I can be like, sure.
Right.
The deal is done. I'm back taking a walk. The money's deposited. The publishing is there. It's fast. It's like
I
that.
love it, man.
But you have to be quick, right? You got to be quick with the response. So if you're in a
Right.
band, right? talk about that for a minute. If you're in a band, there needs to be somebody in your band who's the yes/no person.
Right.
They don't need to call you at work, call them at, you'll lose the
They're the
deal.
last stop.
A lot of deals happen within 15 minutes. Need to be signed off, done within 15 minutes. So if you have to ask a bunch of people, you'll probably miss it. And it's
Right.
competitive. One agency I work with, their catalog is myself, Jay Dilla, Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan, Madlib, Tech Nine.
Yeah.
So I'm competing with those guys, but I'm quicker because they have estates, they have
Right,
labels, they have. So I usually get most of the placements. I mean, I'm beating them out almost all the time.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one of the aspects of not being signed to a label or having a label do that sync portion of it for you is you're nimble, you're quick, you're able to respond and make those decisions.
It's all education. You know, when I put out my Lost Scriptures album that was on Good Vibes, when I structured that deal, they wanted to sign me as an artist. I said, I was working at Arista Records. I said, I want a label deal because as a label deal, I can come back to Austin and sign my childhood friends, which I did.
Right.
But if I was just an artist, that's just me.
Right.
So I made a label deal situation, and I put a clause within my contract that said if my distribution is disrupted in any way, my deal ends. They tried to leave Interscope to go to Def Jam. Clause kicks in. I was able to take all of our masters back, and every time I re-release that record, I get 100% of it now.
Dude, that's crazy.
But even when I put it out with them, you know, they were putting out vinyl and all that, I was getting $7 off of every project. So compare that to now with streaming,
Right.
0.000000000. See how it sounds crazy? But we still champion that end of the year wrap up they send us, and we post it and say, I got new listeners and whatever. That's a vanity. They send you vanity things to make you feel good, warm and fuzzy.
Right.
But it has no real monetary value.
No,
to you.
it doesn't.
Or career.
It takes somewhere around like 1 million streams to get
Insane.
like $4,000 or something like that. And this is before it gets divvied up and chopped into pieces, right?
Yep.
And you're right, it is a vanity metric, and it's really interesting to me. But it makes sense why things like sync licensing aren't pushed to the forefront for artists in terms of awareness. Like, hey, this is a tool that you can be utilizing. Like, I don't care if I have 2 million streams. If I just got 200K, from the sync.
Because you know what I mean. If you get like a 200K trailer and you do 4 trailers a year,
right? It's easy. We're eating.
You're straight.
Is it though?
Is it though?
That's what I'm saying. I think that's amazing. What are you most excited about for the future of music? Now that's a positive question. I do have a darker question because you know I'm out here in the darkness.
Right.
Which one do you want me to ask? Do you want the dark or the light question first?
Give me the darker first.
Okay,
So I can be the light.
Let's hit it. So, as you heard earlier when I was speaking to the points around AI music and prompting, and now the advancements that they are making with record labels and potentially with TV, film, etc. There is an ongoing narrative that there is a potential for for publishing houses or film houses to start prompting their own music. So if I have a specific need for a track that is Police Chase, Midnight, New York, hot and muggy, jazzy, aggressive track, I can now prompt that and I got 2 options from Suno coming out, right? Do you think that's an actual threat to sync right now? Do you think it will be in the future? What is the alternative? How can you kind of protect yourself or get ahead of that?
I don't really see it as a threat to sync because they're going to sync whatever. It's more of a threat to the artist that's using it trying to get into sync, right? Because you're losing money. You're losing the creative aspect, right? Like, are you really a musician if you just type in the prompt and it spits it out? Are you really creating? Do you really love that art form you're doing? Or are you just throwing that in there? One thing that I see could be a serious problem with AI and the prompts and all that say you're working on a song, like what you said, say you're making a beat and they spit it out, or you're trying to write a song, right? You're like, I just need some words that sound like, feel like, give me some words that sound whatever. They give you that, you put it in your song, right? You're like, oh, now my song is slamming. Now it's a co-writer.
Right.
Now you have a co-writer, right? And AI hasn't caught up to that thinking yet. But I say within the next year or less, they're going to be like coming for artists like they keep everything on their servers, right? It doesn't go nowhere. They're going to say, you used our platform to to help you write this particular song.
Right.
We want 50% of your publishing. We want co-writes. We want
Featuring.
we want the sync money. We want all that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And AI and all that, it's not a threat. It's just based on the prompts that we put into it. So if we go back to being creative artists and be like the artists that made us want to be creative,
Right.
then AI struggles now.
Absolutely.
Right, it can't keep up now because we're not even going to it to be creative. We're doing round tables. We're sitting at each other's house vibing off of something. We're in the garage trying to make music. No computer around involved in that process. Then AI dwindles. Right, then people go back typing in like, what kind of fish is this? Those type of things. Go back to typing in that.
Yeah. I don't want to see a track that says T-Double featuring Sam Altman ever.
Not at all. You won't.
I think you're bullseye on that statement, and just to take it a little bit further, I think one thing that artists will always have is our unique perspective. AI hasn't had the experiences that we have had culturally. It has not been raised in the neighborhoods that we've been raised in, faced the political issues we faced, etc. So that unique perspective is always going to be gold, and I just don't ever find myself believing words that are echoing revolution from an AI, right? It's just not something that I think will have real value.
100% agree.
So the positive question I was going to ask you, two actually. First question is, have you watched Breaking Bad yet?
Well, I watched Breaking Bad when my song was played in Breaking Bad.
All right.
I watched that actual episode. I had never even heard of the show. When they called me about that placement, I had to call my friends and say, what is Breaking Bad? What show is it? Because I'm always in the studio. I don't sit around and watch TV. And I was like, what's this show about? And they were like, oh, it's about drugs. It's about...
It's such a
so
good
I called
show.
them back and I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, my closest friends who I've known, who are still around me, who I've known since I was like 12. So like, I really trust their opinions.
Right.
And so they knew me before all the T-double stuff. So I could be like, what you think about this show? Man, you should do that, T. Like, that show is huge. And I was like, okay, bet. So then I watched that episode and I'm sitting there doing the whole show. That doesn't sound like me. No, that doesn't. Is that me? Wait a minute. There it is. And then you just go cha-ching, because I knew the deal I structured for that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that's out the park home run right there.
That's amazing, man. I've had one similar moment. I had a song sunk in this game, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes.
One of my favorite games. Dude, I played like 200 hours. Then finally I was driving around the streets of Night City and my name popped on the radio and the song came on. I was like, it felt so good.
Yes.
I only got like $500 for that though.
Yeah, it's a blessing,
whatever. But it was awesome. So so the last question before we open it up to some of these folks here is going to be, what are you most excited about for the future of music, be that in sync or be that in, is there an artist that's exciting you? Is there a new platform? Is there a new organization or group that you're connecting with? Like what is exciting to you right now?
I'm excited that music is going back to the creators, right? That is going back to the essence of the art form, whatever your art form is, whether it's rock, poetry, hip hop, jazz, whatever, that people are actually going back, picking up instruments, picking up gear, really sitting there and going back to really creating their music that got them into it. You know what I mean? Because you talk to a lot of artists and say, who inspired you? Oh, I love Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. But none of that is in your music, right? You're like, there's no tinge of that in what you're doing because you're all on the computer, AI, whatever. And AI's been around for a while, like Splice, drag and drops. It's kind of the same thing, right? Sure, but just called differently, marketed differently, like that. But that's what's got me excited when I talk to artists that are like, they're producing again, they're collaborating again, they're cross-collaborating with other genres now, right? There's no boundaries on music. Like, you don't have to stay in your own box. You can go party with other people and probably make something really amazing, and then you can get into the sync field with that. You know what I mean? It's all tied together, but that's what really got my heart pumping as far as with music.
I love that, man. Yeah. That is something to be very excited about. Okay, let's open up a few questions for the audience. Just raise your hand, and we have a mic over there for you.
Yeah.
Hi.
What's up?
I'm Patty. I love your story about the 8-year-old sending your tape to Warner. Like, that's adorable. And I'm sure receiving that letter was incredibly validating, and validation is something artists crave.
Right.
There also are a ton of reasons why artists don't put themselves out there, whether it's, like fear of rejection, ego, introversion, depression, anxiety, imposter syndrome. A lot of artists are on the spectrum, too. What advice do you have for artists that struggle with these things to get themselves out there, to develop relationships, to advocate for themselves and their careers?
I would say to know that your end game has already happened. It's already there, right? It's already written in the timeline down there. It's all about you taking your time in your own space to get there. Like, you don't have to race against anybody. Just to think about where you want to be artistically and what you're trying to do, and take your time with it. Everybody's racing everybody else to get to the top, when you can just, there's a lot of success just writing a good song that makes you feel good. Write a good poem that makes you feel good. It don't have to be on the radio. It don't have to be all that. Just believe in yourself and continue to keep believing it. That's the core thing. A lot of artists, we give up on ourselves so quickly because it didn't happen as fast as we wanted. Take that timeline. Take that time off the table. Shut that clock off and say, I'm just going to write tonight. This is on my mind. Do that. Like, I have so many songs that I've written, and I go back to my hard drive, and I'm like, I didn't even know I did a spoken word album back in 2005, but I was just feeling like that one night. Will I put it out? Maybe not, but it was fun to do.
Right.
So those are the magical moments where you can go back and listen to it and be like, man, that was wild, but nobody will ever hear it but you, and that's what it was meant for. Not everything is meant for public consumption of the art. A lot of it is just for you to feel good within yourself.
I love
and
that.
I'm also introverted. Like, when I talk about music business, I can talk all day. But usually, if you see me out and about, right? Like,
You're in the shadows.
I'm posted. I don't talk much.
Great
But thank you
question
for that.
from Patty over there.
Thank
By the
you.
way, Patty is a legend. Wind in the Wave. She's a very successful artist. She's toured all over the place. And I think I had one of my first songs on the radio with you, Patty. Thank you for that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Throw it up. Throw it up. Give it up for Patty. Give it up for Patty.
Give it up for Patty.
This is a support group.
Do we have any more questions? There's a microphone going around. Here we go.
Yeah, how y'all doing?
What up?
It's Noah over here.
What up, Noah?
What's up, Noah?
Definitely go back with Zealy since high school, and I've definitely grown up with T-Double since I was a kid. But
Yep.
asking about what you've done historically, also, correct me if I'm not mistaken, didn't you get a Grammy, T-Double?
Yeah, I got 2 Grammy nominations, and the story behind that is, thank you, Noah, for bringing that up. I didn't pay him to ask that question either.
Let's clap it up for the Grammys.
Yeah, clap it up, you know. Yeah, but when I got that situation where I was posting a lot of beats on Facebook, just random. I was just like, on Facebook, I make a lot of tracks. I would just post a lot of beats. A guy hit me up and was like, hey, you know, I'm the president of Taxi Records, and I work with this reggae artist, and we like your track, and we wanted to know if you want to do a remix, like a demo of the demo. I said, sure, why not, right? You never say no. I had never done that type of thing before. I said, send it to me. He sent it to me. I did what I need to do. I sent it back, and he was like, we love it. We want you to do 6 songs on our upcoming album.
Wow.
Right? So I did the songs. They put the record out. The record got nominated like a few months after they put it out. I mixed the record. I produced the record. I rapped on the record. They put it out, and then it got nominated the same year. So that's how the nominations came. So I got nominated as an artist on the record and as the producer of the song that I rapped on the record. So
Inception.
you got to put yourself out there sometime.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's a blessing to have that, and I think it shows that it's doable.
Yeah.
Because when we see artists who are successful with Grammys or Emmys or whatever, it's from afar. Mm-hmm. Like, man, they really did it. But I'm in Austin, though.
Yeah.
I need to go to Nashville. I need to go to Atlanta. I need to go.
Not at all.
You could do it right here. You could do it right here. I'm living proof of it, right? Like, I'll tell you the good and the bad about it, but as long as you work hard and you believe in yourself and you're focused and you know where you want to be, you know where your end goal is, you can do it.
Beautiful.
Furthermore, in the details of that, did you have to go through a process to get to the Grammy, and was it a game changer for you as well? For all this?
Yeah. No.
Prices
No,
are.
it was crazy because also during that time when I'm making that record, I had just got on the Texas chapter board of governors. I had just got on the board for that because they were like they wanted to add like some hip hop artists to the board from Austin. So I got picked on to be on the board of that, but there's no steps to like get a Grammy or a nomination. Like it's voted on by the members. It's all that. So there's no trickery in that. Right. Like, let's clear that up. A lot of people say, oh, well, so-and-so keep winning Grammys, blah, blah, blah. No, the people are voting, but they're voting on what's familiar to them. So when you get your Grammy list to vote, like Zealy, you're way the bottom somewhere, T-Double right there. But then you get like, oh, there's Lil Wayne, there's Jay-Z, there's Drake. people vote instantly, especially when it's in categories that they're not in.
Right.
So that's why some of the same people keep winning, and the Marleys always win a reggae Grammy and that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely a great experience, because once I got that, my performance fee went up.
Goes up.
My production fee went up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Today's price is not tomorrow's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Not today's price.
So
it's very true. And I've been in Los Angeles the past 6 years, so I'm a voting member of the LA Grammy chapter, and so I've seen this whole chain of movement go from nomination to award winning, and it's pretty incredible. But it is a lot of work, and you do have to show up, and you have to play at some of these events and some of these private voting member events, to get that the opportunity.
Yeah,
to win one.
and if you're local, meaning you have the means, I would suggest joining the Texas chapter. Like I'm not on the board, but the networking of when you go to our events, like during South by and all that, you meet labels, you meet producers, you meet sync people, you meet all these people. Like I said, when I sent my first demo, I picked Warner Brothers because it was on the back of Prince's album, Controversy. So I went to a Grammy party and I met his original keyboard player, Dr. Fink, who dressed like a doctor and all that. And now we're super cool and we're working on music and all that. And it's just, you never know who you're going to meet, right?
Yeah.
And I've been blessed to meet Prince and meet my heroes, and they've been exactly what I thought they would be, like super cool, super supportive, all that, to give me great advice. Like one thing I can also add, like when I met Quincy Jones, he was like, surround yourself with like 5 people who are amazing,
Right.
but don't do what you do. Right?
Yep.
Because if you're a guitar player and all you do is shred all day on the guitar, that's all you're going to talk about. Bring somebody who's an accountant at their day job.
Right.
They can help you manage your money. Bring somebody who like builds houses. They can show you how to build the foundation and the beams and what else you need within your career to do that. And when he told me that, I was like, that's pretty real. You know what I'm saying? Because we like to be around others who do what we do, because it's a safe space.
Right.
But bring other folks in who are great, but just don't do what you do, and then watch your mind just expand within 10 minutes of a conversation.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And right at that line of discomfort is where growth happens. So I think that's a beautiful point.
Yeah.
A few more questions back here. You're popular right now, man. Let's get it.
How you doing?
What up?
Hey, I want to go back to what you were talking about with sync, right? So for artists that are just getting started with sync or have never done sync before, what are your recommendations for building like an end-to-end sync pipeline? So like what experiments should artists be running to validate or improve their pipeline elements? So you're talking about the tools they're using to create the music, but then how you upload that to like what systems you're using, how you do outreach, building those relationships, and even just knowing about the legal process and how to make deals and cash flow and all that. What are your recommendations for getting started there? And then what are you typically seeing with artists right now in what they're missing in that process?
I would say when you're starting to get into sync, especially if you're in a band, make sure you have split sheets with your band so everybody know what their percentage is of that song. Because once money comes into it, they added a tambourine in there, and they should get a little bit more. The guitar player added an extra riff or something, right? So get the split. A lot of it before sync is home care, right? Make sure you're with a PRO like BMI, ASCAP, because that's how you're going to get paid.
Right.
Make sure you have the split sheets with your band members, so that way everybody knows what's going on. Make sure you have a way to have the stems and the tracks,
Right.
so you can separate things. Because I got a placement once, and they were like, "We love this track. He take the rap out."
Yep.
I was offended. I was like, I did a great rap on that. What? I'm known for that. You don't like that? They're like, "But we'll pay you this much."
And you're like, gone.
Gone. Like it wasn't even there. So you can have control over the music, over the files. Make sure you own the master and the publishing, because that's one of the first questions they're going to ask too, to make sure you own all that. And make sure you really own it, because you might record at the studio and the studio say, well, since you recorded here, I own the master.
Yeah.
Right. So you really got to do your research on it before you even attempt to try to send it to somebody. And then once you present it to somebody, you got to kind of know what you're willing to give up to get into the game. Like you might do a couple of small syncs to get into the game. Or a thing I do as well, like it's called Step Deal that I do. So I'll give somebody some music for free so they could take it to film festivals. And then once it's picked up by Lionsgate or whoever, then my money kicks in. Because you're building that friendship again. They didn't have the money to pay you to be in the film, so you gave it for free. Right, per se. And then once it's picked up, your money kicks in. So it's all about learning other ways to manage within this industry. Like I said, there's no rules.
Yep.
There's no rules, right? Like you can do anything. You can go to somebody and say, I want 100% of it, and you get nothing.
Right.
And they can say yes, and you never know. They might say, okay, sure, we're in a rush to put up the project out, like that. But that's what I suggest artists do. Do your homekeeping first. Make sure all that is taken care of first before you approach somebody, because you could give somebody your song and they can retitle it, right? That's a new thing, because every industry has the sharks.
Right.
Let's talk about the sharks. They have the sharks a little bit, so they'll take your song. Like me and Zilly did a song called T and Zilly at Capitol Factory.
Boom.
And we gave it to somebody. They would take it and call it T and Zilly at Capitol Factory in Austin. And they would take that version, give it to BMI, and then they would shop the version that they're a part of. Right, so you got to make sure you have all these things in your agreement, that there's no retitling.
Right.
There's no this, there's no that. When I work with people in sync, like now I have 39 albums. So I'll give one person 5 albums, another person 5 albums. Catalogs matter.
Right.
Another person 5 albums. And I'll tell them you have 2 to 3 months to give me 2 syncs. If they don't, I rotate the thing. I control my destiny.
Yeah.
I don't sit and wait for them. I'm like, you're not doing what I asked you to do, I'm out. When you sign to some sync agencies, you become an asset to the companies, or they sold the company, you're gone with that. They're not hiring you for your talent, they're hiring you to build up the company. So you really got to sit back and really analyze the market that you want to get into and the field you want to get into. But there's a program, I can throw it in here, called Lala. I think it's called Lala.io. And it's great for making stems. Like when they approached me about the Fortnite thing, they want to use a particular track that I recorded years ago. I don't have the files. I don't have the computer no more. I put it in Lala, took the vocals out. There's the instrumental. I sat there, retyped the lyrics. I did all that within 15 minutes and got the placement. So you got to make sure that you have those tools as well if you need be.
There's one other website that I forget the name of, but you might know it. It's a website where you can basically enter in like the name of a show, and it will tell you what songs were sung to it, the style, the tempo, what they're typically looking for. I don't know the name of it.
I don't remember the name of it.
Okay, cool. We don't know. Never mind, y'all.
But I hope that kind of answered your question a little bit.
Yeah, and I think earlier you also answered a part of his question in terms of like the group you mentioned here in Austin, where all of these like sync individuals meet up. That's a great resource.
Go to Sync ATX. It's Sync ATX. It's a Facebook group. Go to that. Once a month we have a meetup, and it's artists, it's sync folks, it's booking agents. Like it's just a real good hang, right? Nobody goes there with a preconception of I'm going to get. Everybody comes with I'm going to give.
In service of, bring value.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have a few more questions? I'm not sure where the mic is. Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Teresa. I'm a photographer, filmmaker, and I think as artists, it can be really tempting to create for trends or for something that you see happening already. And I just wanted to invite you to speak a little bit about trusting yourself to create through your passion and create from your heart, and not getting distracted by trends or something flashy or something that you see somebody else being successful with, and really like digging into your own self and your own vision, passion, wherever it comes from for you.
Yeah, to that I would say in the music space, we hear something on the radio and we're like, I need to make that. But you got to understand that was probably recorded a year ago, right? There was time where they had to run that through the industry machine before it even got to you. So you're basically copying something that's old. Thinking it's new. So it's always best just to be authentic and be yourself. When you wake up, you're like, what do I want to do today? What do I want to create today? And that's a hard thing to do because you do have all these outside influences, right? Like if you're a photographer, Vogue might have a new color that they're using this season or a new whatever, so all your pictures got to be that. But what if you tried this angle of color and this shot and this lighting and this thing. Now you've broke the mold and everybody wants to copy what you're doing.
Right.
And as long as you're authentic in yourself and you wake up and you stretch every day. When I was young, I was in this program in the elementary. It was called the Gents Club. It was for young black boys. It was called the Gents Club, Gentlemen's Club. And one thing the instructor would say, when you wake up, look in the mirror and say, "You good looking thing, don't you ever die."
I love that.
So that's how you have to wake up, like you're a winner every day.
Yeah.
No losers in here. It's all winners in here.
I love that. We did win the lottery. We're all alive. We're all here. You know.
Blessing.
I think just speaking to that point a little bit more, you know, currently there are systems in place that we are all addicted to in some matter, you know, social media, that essentially awards you for homogenizing your content, your artistry, your point of view, because it awards you in the algorithm, right? And it's ironic because it asks you to stand out by joining the herd. And I think it's in these moments that is absolutely the most pivotal and important for us to flip that model upside down.
Yes.
You know, they say when you take two things that are totally opposite and you put them together, that can be described as genius, because you're breaking the mold. You're doing something that's outside of the herd. So I know that I activate on creating out of authenticity, and it's very fulfilling, and I encourage everybody to. I mean, whether to his point it sees the light of day or not doesn't matter, because it's feeding you as an artist, which will allow you to go out into the world and shine your light where it needs to be.
100%.
Yeah. One or two more questions, and then I think we have to wrap up, and we'll do more of an open town hall.
Yeah.
Hey, Tierney, first of all, thank you. You're being amazingly generous with your wisdom, and thank you so much.
Yep.
I don't know that I deserve it, but thank you.
He got 10 sinks while he's been sitting here. So.
I know.
I probably had my phone's been buzzing. So,
so actually, I did want to ask. I kind of have two questions. I don't know if you can do both of them. But first question is, if you're doing multiple syncs a day, are you, or do you have, staff that are negotiating and writing a contract for every one of those, or is there a form contract that you're using with a firm that you work with? So I'm kind of curious about you're doing really high volume business, it seems. So how are you handling all those contracts? That's the first question. Okay. Second question, is there any benefit now for sync deals if your music is already mixed multi-channel, Atmos, or anything like that? Or do they prefer to do that after the sync is done?
I'll do the last part first.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for that.
So with the Atmos situation, usually they get composers who will come in and actually make the music for the Atmos. They're not really taking, masters and making them Atmos versions, right?
And just for context, for people who don't know, can you explain quickly what Atmos, that type of sound scoring is?
So Atmos is like, it can be like 7 point whatever, like in a movie theater, right? So it feels like it's all around you, really immersive audio. Is what that is.
Yep.
So they usually bring in a composer to do that. And so, if you're a composer, you can pitch yourself in that way. Like, I'm a composer, I can help you write more songs, I can help you do music, let me know about your product. But you gotta get out and meet people, you gotta network. And as far as the contracts that I do, as far as the sync, the people that I work with are basically, it's basically a standard agreement that I have with all of them. They know what I want my music in, they know what I don't want my music in, they know what the percentages I'm asking for, and then and once they present it, the director or supervisor comes back with their offer. But I start off saying, hey, for sake of conversation, I might say, I'll give you 20% and I keep the rest. They might be like, okay, that's cool, we could do that. Or they might say, well, how about 30%? But I've never had a deal where I started off with a number and it went up to 50-50. Never. It stops way before that. You know what I mean? Because, you control the music, right? If they're approaching you just like a booking agent in Austin,
right? If
they're approaching you, you have the value, you got the power. So don't cower down and be like, okay, I'll do it for 50-50.
Right.
Or I'll do it for whatever. And you got the music. They're approaching you for the music. You own the catalog. And as long as you have a bunch of music, like I always say, catalogs matter. The more music you have, the more they're going to keep coming back to you. And as fast as you are with responding, and you own the master, you own the publishing, you own all that up front, they're going to keep coming back to you over and over. And then you can negotiate, do you want to do an exclusive deal with this particular film where they pay you upfront X amount of dollars? Or do you want to do non-exclusive,
Right.
where you get no money, but you keep the publishing, you get royalties, you get all these other things, you get that beautiful publishing statement every quarter, right? Or do you want to do that? I do the non-exclusive thing as much as I can, because that way I can take, like, bringing it back, my track, and sync it 8 times.
Yeah, that's super smart, and I think
Hope that answered your question a little bit.
Yeah, I think that the answer is that you're quick on the email. A lot of these
Yeah.
exchanges happen on email.
Yeah.
And just to make a point here, some people think that I'm a Luddite because I'm anti-AI in music, but it's actually the contrary. I think I'm an early adopter, and I would be interested in seeing how like agentic AI models could be used in the system that you have.
Right.
Yeah. Do we have a flood warning? What is that? Blue alert. Cool.
There we go. Sorry.
So yeah, but the system that you have is fantastic, and and hopefully that answered your question.
And you know, and a lot of it is I'm learning too, right? But I'm surrounding myself with people who are smarter than me and have done it and just giving me the advice. Like, I have entertainment lawyers. I have all that. I know some of y'all are like, how are you making these deals without law? I have entertainment lawyers. Right. I have, like, Usher's lawyer. I have Yolanda Adams. I have all these people who are like, if you get a contract and you don't understand it, send it to me and I'll look at it and I'll send it back to you.
Right.
And you'll have the best deal. It was the same way when I worked at Arista Records. The president of Arista, Cameron Randall, I started interning there making coffee, and within 3 months I was doing A&R marketing because I was telling him I want to be an exec. So he would bring me in his office, like when Clive Davis would come, we would sit in the office, and he would give me actual contracts and say, take this home, use a highlighter, and highlight what you think is a good part of that deal or a bad part of that deal. Mm-hmm. And I would bring it back, and he said, that's right, that's wrong, that's right. So when I went to LA and I met Good Vibe through Interscope, I already knew how I wanted a label deal. I already knew how to structure it because I had already had that schooling here on what to do.
Absolutely.
So just surround yourself with people who are smarter and people who really give a damn about you, right?
Right.
Some people just want to be around you because they can get something from you, right? Just get around somebody who just wants to give you that game.
Right.
You know, like you were saying, you know, I'm free about time. I do this all the time. You look at my social media online, I'm always talking about ownership. Do this with your music. Do that. Because I'm like, if you're in a room of people and like you got the Grammys, you're doing all these things, and you don't want to tell people how to do it,
right?
You're an asshole.
I love that. I think, Lauren, do we have time for one more question? How are we doing? Cool.
And then we'll open the town hall.
Great.
Okay.
Hi, I'm
What's
Dee. So I have a question. I want to pivot from the business viewpoint of stuff and more to the creative focal point. So the question that I have is a creative who has been producing my own music and trying to write at the same time. How do you balance producing and wanting to write? I feel like there's a lot of time spent on doing one and not doing the other, and needing to do the other and not do the one that you're focusing more on. So I'm just curious on what that workflow looks like for you as an artist, doing both at the same time.
With me, I treat my studio like a factory, right? It's like a little Motown. Mm-hmm. So when I wake up, if I'm making a track, right, if I'm producing a track, I'm usually writing the lyrics to that track at the same time I'm making that track. So once the track is done, I dump it into Pro Tools. I always have a microphone right here. I cut the vocals, cut the ad-lib, cut the hooks. Done, I move on to the next song. So that's why I have thousands and thousands of songs, because I don't take a lot of time overthinking it. We overthink it a lot. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you want to write songs and sing into your phone, spend a day where you just write, and then spend a day where you just produce, and then spend a day where you try to meld your ideas you have together. Because you might sit and write a song and make a beat, and you're like, this doesn't really work. They're both great, they just don't work together. So you get your other lyrics, put it with that, your other beats, put it with these lyrics, and then you have something going on. It's all about just taking your time and don't rush it and don't overthink it, and just do it when you can, write when you can, write when you feel it. Like, don't do it because you're like, I need to make these songs right now. Sorry about that.
Sync deal.
Sync deal. That actually was. But I hope that answers your question. Just take your time. You know what I mean? Like, you know what you want to do. You know what you want to write. You know what you want to create, right? Just write what comes from the heart. Like I say, spend a day. Like, I'll spend Sundays and just listen to music. Mm-hmm. I won't make beats. I won't do nothing. I'll just retune my ears and just listen and listen. Mm-hmm. And then Monday, I get on it. Yeah. You know, so just take your time. Don't rush it. Artists, we need to. The time is infinite. It's there. It's gonna be there. Take your time, enjoy life, go for a walk, enjoy, do all that. That's where the artistry is going to come from. If you're spending all your time writing and creating, eventually you're going to run out of stuff about what to write about because you're spending all your time writing. Go get some fresh air. Go do something. You know what I mean? Like, don't forget to live while you're being an artist.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think just to second his point, you have to fill your cup with experience. So try and do everything, get outside of your comfort zone, because all of these things become information that comes out of you when you start your creative process. And also to his point, I think batch creating is a great idea. So take a day just listening to your influences, maybe spend the next 2 days just putting all of your focus on production, and then following that, put all of your energy and focus on lyrics, because I think you are the most dangerous when you're locked into one frame of thought, and that will allow you to achieve that end goal by breaking it out into pieces.
100%.
Yeah. Any other questions? One more over here.
Oh.
Lauren, we'll make this the last one, yeah?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
time for one more.
I just want to say thank you for sharing about everything on Facebook, the beats that you produce and everything like that. When you put them out, were you worried at all that like somebody would like steal your flow, or did you have like legal action against that to protect that, like copyrights or anything like that?
Well, when I was posting beats on Facebook, a lot of those were like me actually making the beats live, because I was doing like some streaming kind of at the time, that type of thing. So I wasn't really thinking like, oh, somebody's going to take this beat and steal it and whatever. And it's good that I didn't at that time, because then somebody found me and wanted to use that beat that I made to put on their record, which got me the Grammy nomination, right? Like I said, sometimes you just have to just put the art out there, right? Like I think we put a lot of monetization on how we can get paid from it and all this and that, and it kind of weighs it down. But yeah, you still do have to, copyright. I'm not saying don't copyright, trademark, do all your stuff as well. But sometimes it works out well where you're just like, hey, this is what I do. You know what I mean? This is me. This is me. That's why I say come to the Sync ATX meetings. You know what I mean? Like we listen to demos, we listen to music, and some people have gotten syncs from those meetings just by showing up.
Yeah,
Come be
that's
involved.
Really valuable advice.
You got to be on the scene to be seen.
There you go.
Is it though? Is it though?
I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for all that you do for artists and all of the amazing things that you've put out into the world. Just lastly, can you tell people who don't know you yet where they can find you, or any other just key resources you think are important?
Yeah, if you want to follow me, you can go to teedouble.com, teedouble.com. That's where my advocacy stuff is with Urban Artists Alliance. That's where a lot of my discography is. Studio is on there. Everything is on there, so it's a one-stop shop on there. So just follow me on there, and on Instagram and all that, it's my real name, Tyranny Johnson. It's not the real T-double or T-double 512, right? Because I'm a real person, right? So it's like, I want you to know that's really who I am. So it's 100%. Tyranny Johnson on there. And just stay motivated and just love yourself, love others, surround yourself with great people. Like, we know when there's bad energy with somebody, and we choose to hang around that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, get around people that you love and that really inspire you. You know what I mean? Like a lot of familiar faces in here that I see that I've known for years, and I'm glad to see people still on it and doing it and knowing that it is doable, it is possible. It gets hard, and sometimes we want to cry ourselves to sleep and all that, but then you can look out and be like, yo, I can do this. All you got to do is set your mind on the goal and know what the goal is and stay focused on that goal, stay focused on that target. You'll hit it every time.
I love it. Round of applause for Tyranny Johnson. Thank you so much, brother.
Yes, sir.
I'll grab this from you. So at this point, we're going to have Lauren come back up, and she will initiate and lead the town hall. You good?
Yeah.
Give it up for Lauren.
Oh, wait. This one?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. I'll just put that down there. Give it up for Zeely, please. Amazing. I want to thank Dan Redman for being here too. Really appreciate that interview with you. Tyranny, where'd you go? There you go. Can't find you. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody being here and asking questions and just connecting with one another. This last part of what we do is just an open town hall. So if anybody wants to promote what they're doing. We have Empower Her Festival here. Can't wait to hear about that. Or has any questions or ideas. I did real quickly, though, want to introduce you to the rest of the team. Well, most of the team of Prosper, because it's not just me or Zeely. Some of us are also here. And I did want to define real quickly too, first of all, I think it's incredible all of us are here and connecting. Like Z said, like Tarani said, Dan said, it's about community. It's about our own value and how we believe in one another and work with one another and support one another. So you're all worthy. You're all incredible. So don't forget that. But also, so I've been an artist since the second grade, and for me, I just reached a point where it was no longer about talking about what was happening in the industry. It became a point where it's like we need to build solutions and find better pathways to sustainability. And so 3 months ago, I reached out to my best friend Joseph, and I was like, it's time. And so Prosper is a technology that we're building. It's also a community and a movement that we're building. But a big, huge, one of the most important parts of what we're building has to do with education and listening, right? Being here, having these town halls, uniting and working towards a better future for the music industry. And so my first step for Prosper was starting to reach out to people and form a good team. And so, so this is Joseph Salazar. He is our Chief of Strategy. Also, he has put all the designs together. He's a graphic designer. He also got some music in video games and Halo. He's also a musician, too. Joe, do you want to say anything? You good? No. Don't put on the spot. Okay. We also have Johnny Johnson over here. He is our CTO, our Chief Technology Officer. He also is an artist and sounds like Bob Dylan. And he also is a writer. He started in journalism. He has a book at Book People. He writes on AI ethics. He's very knowledgeable about the world of AI and what is working and what is sustainable and doing it the right way. So he's amazing. It has some he really sounds like Bob Dylan, honestly. He's a creator. Do you want to say anything, Johnny? No? You got it? Where is Gabe and Okay, we've got Gabe over there. I actually met Gabe because he was doing projections for a band called Isaiah the Mosaic, and he is incredible, but he also works for an incredible tech company in health, and it really focuses on building a better future, not only for music, but also within the health industry and the tech industry, too. Do you want to say anything, Gabe? Thanks for coming. Yeah, thank you so much. And David, okay. David is our founding senior full stack engineer, which means he does back end and front end of technology creation. But David, he went to NYU and got his master's in music business. He is a producer. I actually met him in a band called The Sun Machine, and he has a lot of knowledge. I hope to have him as a guest sometime because he has a lot of knowledge around the music business and licensing and syncing as well. Do you want to say anything, David?
Thanks everybody for coming.
Oh yeah, round of applause. Sorry. Yay. And then lastly, we have Monica out there. She's been manning. She is our new brand and marketing intern. She is a student at UT, a junior, is really incredible, super supportive of the industry. And we have a new tech intern, Luis, that drove here from Houston today. And he is getting his degree in computer science. He's also a musician. And we have a few advisors here. Oh, Colin he works for Microsoft. He's amazing. And we have an ever-growing, Tarani, honestly, everybody in this room, we're always looking to connect with more people, continue the conversation, looking for new mentors, new advisors. Right now, we have just been building the business infrastructure of what it takes to build a technology. And so that's where we're at, and we're all about building community right now, but we also, in a few months, we'll hopefully be able to use these town halls to start talking about the technology with all of you and getting your input and listening to what you want. As of now, you could share your voice, and if you have ideas or there are certain things that you would want in a technology, you could go to prosperxo.com. We have these surveys up. We have a long form answer, so you could tell us whatever. What is working, what isn't working. Our team is all artists right now, and we want to continue the conversation with artists, and we want to build with artists. It's very, very important. We're in an age of platform capitalism. So, and all of these people had a choice, right, to make. And we know this now being in tech. They had a choice to make when they could choose to give the artist control or make money off of them, right? And so we're at the very beginning of this, and what's important is artist first, full ownership for the artist, and sustainable pathways. We're starting with connecting artists with brands, legal protection, and a deeper connection with their fans, but we're only gonna grow from there, and it starts with being artist-centered and being built by artists and for artists. And so I'm so glad you guys are here. We have these every month, the second Wednesday of every month. There's an open co-working day at Capital Factory on Tuesdays from 10 to 4. This place, thank you Capital Factory, they are live streaming right now. Thank you. Yeah, round of applause for Capital Factory. They are for all types of entrepreneurs. We are all entrepreneurs in this room, so you guys are all welcome. It's been an incredible place, so supportive for us in what we're doing, but so supportive to the arts and the creative sector. It's been really inspiring. I am going to stop flapping my mouth. Again, thank you for being here. This last section is for you guys. If anybody wants to promote anything and say anything or has any ideas, it's open to you. I will start with you ladies, though. Oh, wait, and Zeely, I mean, we talked about how Zeely, I'm so sorry. Zeely is a part of the team. He is head of brand and marketing. He's done all of the videos, but also just a cultural visionary, an incredible host, but also, gosh, I mean, I don't know if you guys can tell, but his creative mind and vision is something I rarely see, and really thankful to be working with him. So yeah, give it up for Zeely again. Sorry. Okay, so do you guys want to start?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lauren, for everything. This is, yeah, I absolutely love this, and yes, such great conversations today. Learned a lot, so I really appreciate the speakers here today. And I want to talk about a music arts festival that I'm hosting next weekend. So my name's Anna Madewell, and I'm a soul singer, and I love soul singing. Been DJing for 6 years now, and I am in the music business. I'm all about music and business. So I took the leap, and I finally decided to claim that vision that I've always had in mind. This festival is called Empower Her. So it's about empowering everybody, embracing your authenticity, especially the ladies. And this is going to be a storytelling music production festival. So it's going to have the aerialist, the burlesque. It's going to have the fire flow artists, female lineup of DJs. Me and Serotonin are going to go back to back. And it's going to be at the Courtyard venue downtown next Saturday. So it's on July 19th. At 8 p.m., the doors open. Tickets right now are $35. I got a QR code right back there. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that to meet all of you here today. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
Well, I guess I'm just here for moral support. But my name is Sarah. I go by Serotonin. I'm a musician. I produce electronic music. I make dubstep, filthy wubs. Yay. And yeah, so I'm going to go back to back with Anna for Empower Her Festival. I've been by her side, helping her create each and every part of it. And I met Anna through my community called EDM Prosperity Network. And we are a community for growth-minded individuals that like electronic music. So you could be any kind of individual and that simply likes electronic music that's looking to connect with others outside of the rave. Yeah. It's like talk about our goals, you know? So yeah, that's what we do. We meet every last Wednesday of the month, and Anna came to the very first one, and she's been coming to every single one since I started. So very grateful to have met her through the community, and yeah, I would love to see you guys there. This is an amazing community that I'm very grateful to be a part of as well now. So thanks.
I love that you guys came up here, but no pressure. You guys don't have to come up if you want to talk about anything. Does anybody have any shows coming up? Ooh, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, look at you guys. Oh, you're so cute. Hola, hola. My name is DJ Shawnee. I have a show on KUTX, The Groove Temple, every Friday night. Yeah, no, of course. I just, I like to go to things where I can, see what the people are doing. Because you got to do things with people. Right? Like, you have to talk to people. You have to listen to what people have to say. You got to see former neighbors. You got to, So, my show is a deep house show. It's the only one in Central Texas. It's on KUTX. It started in the late 90s. I play black electronic music. And I think it's very important to have representation, which is why I like to go to things so that they can see someone with a different ability. As I walk with a cane, I have multiple sclerosis. But I still like to boogie. So I just want to introduce myself. Hope you guys can take a listen. Every Friday night, 11 to midnight on KUTX, The Groove Temple.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you being here. Your show is great. I listen to it all the time. Thank you so much. So much. Literally crying. I can't believe you came. Thank you so much. Does anybody... Yeah? Okay. And you next, Noah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm DJ Berlin. I've been in Austin since 96. Started DJing late 96 or whatever, so one more year will be my 30 year of doing this here in town. It's really great coming out. I came out here to support Zealy and T and, anybody in here. I'm always, trying to be a part of the scene, trying to help, trying to, I'm the guy that's trying to build the local playlist to play local music while I'm out DJing, you know what I mean, kind of guy, whatever, but I started doing mashups here in Austin out of necessity. When I got here, it was a bunch of jam bands and hippies just running around downtown, so when their band was over and then the DJ section would start, if you just started in with hip hop or you just started in with techno or whatever, it would just clear the place out, so, but if you mixed a J5 instrumental and threw some Tom Petty on it, next thing you know, the beat in there, like, oh, shit, bringing you again. It's like, dude, I'm not really into DJs, brother, but man, hell yeah, so it's kind of out of necessity or whatever, and it's just really been a fun time creating here in Austin. And, I started mixing like hip hop into electronic, like techno and house, but like not just the sample, I was putting the whole vocal in there, and back then the rave kids were like, what are you doing, and some of the hip hop kids were like, what are you doing? I don't know, it's too many beats and then, too many words or whatever, and I just kept with it because I was like, man, I like this, and to me, electronic music is the culmination of disco and hip hop, so it's like that's where it seemed like it all came together as far as the foundations of electronic music, and house and breaks and jungle and all that good stuff or whatever. So anyway, I'm here and I'm here in Austin. DJ Berlin Austin should get you to all my places and stuff like that. If anybody needs anything, wants to remix or any kind of, anything from me, man, hit me up. Lovely meeting everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Noah. I'm with ATX Rockstars. I have my own label, an independent label here that I'm organizing, and I coordinate a lot of events and have been very close to the hip-hop scene for a long time here. And it's not just hip-hop, but it's definitely affiliated with a lot of the music that goes on here. But on July 25th, I'm going to be aiding in bringing House Shoes. He's an original producer and DJ who was producing with Jay Dilla. If any of y'all are familiar with Jay Dilla, was a long-time representative of hip-hop and a producer who passed away a long time ago, but I will be promoting some artists that I will be working with on the 25th. If you are familiar with How Much Studios, a little bit up north, it's a really nice place for any beginning artists who want to record or be in the studio session type area, and just trying to get that out there to you guys, so that you know I'm here too.
Yeah. You're a really good dancer too. A really good dancer. Does anybody else? Yeah. Oh yeah. Leon was one of our last guest speakers. Woo! Yeah, give it up. Yeah.
And if we remember last time, I was real upset about release dates. Well, I have great news. Jake and I work at Organized Wealth Entertainment. The artist that we work with, Traffic Lee, is releasing his first single on Friday. It's the first single off his project, Shark Season. Get excited. There's blood in the water. It's Shark Season. Keep an eye out for Hercules. It's Traffic Lee on all platforms.
Anybody else?
First of all, I want to say amazing event, and I'm so glad I came. Lauren, thanks for reaching out. What Prosper is doing obviously is real near and dear to all our hearts. I'm an artist, been an artist for a couple of decades, hip-hop vocalist, and I know T-Double, know Zeely. Zeely, we used to freestyle in front of the Capitol when we were first starting. That used to be a thing, T-Double too. I'm part of an organization called College of Hip Hop Knowledge, or CHHK. We're a label. We also just became a nonprofit as well, and we've always been an organization that's tried to empower artists, provide opportunities, platforms to perform, and also educate so that artists know the business so they don't get screwed. Because like T was saying, there's a lot of sharks out there that are willing to take advantage of artists, and I'm just thankful to be here. I also want to say we've been showcase presenters of official South by Southwest shows the last 2 years, and one thing amazing that happened this year in October, we got invited to go out and not only present but also perform in Sydney, Australia at the South by Southwest there, which we're extremely excited about. I've never been to Australia. I don't know how that 19-hour flight's going to go, but we're going to find out. We represent a lot of artists and work with the whole community, and that's what really drew me to Prosper. I bleed and die by community. I believe there's power in numbers and working together, and that through resources we can provide opportunities and empower each other. So I'm here. I also book at Flamingo Cantina. So if you're an artist or a band that's looking for an opportunity to get on stage, please hit us up. We also have a studio out in Bastrop with a professional vocal booth. And, we're out here in the community building. DJ Berlin has been my personal DJ for over a decade as well. He is one of the most prolific scratch DJs in Austin. I can say that. You got to check him out. He's been a DMC competitor. Not to bang his drum too much, but I'm proud of him. I'm really proud of Austin and the community that we've built. And I'm here to support everyone in any way that I can. So please reach out to me, Michael Pareda, but I go by Big Mike. Nice meeting everyone.
Anybody else? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, wait. I'm gonna go to this guy. Sorry. We need another mic.
How we doing, folks? My name is Luis, and I'm here with Dee, and we run the best recording studio in Austin. Some of our higher profile clients include Quinn FN, Sauce Walker, and Trill Sammy. But we do a lot of local artists as well. So if anybody's looking to record some music, shoot some videos, or just need a creative event space, we're right here at Domain. Come check us out. 1K Productions Studios on IG.
That was the best commercial ever. Best commercial. It was so good.
How's it going? My name's Plattis, and I'm a 2-time platinum music producer and audio engineer. If anybody needs anything recorded, mixed and mastered, production, anything music related, hit me up.
Hey y'all, I'm DJ RJ here in Austin. I grew up at KAZI 88.7. T and I go back a number of years. I started my label in 2014, Music for Life, and reggae is my genre. It's just, I went to Jamaica in 1989, and when I came back, it took over my life. I was doing hip-hop then, and funk and R&B, but dance hall and Shabba Ranks and all that just took over my life. So I'm a drummer. I also play keyboards, a little bass, and I'm taking guitar lessons right now. But I love to build tracks, to build rhythms, and I'm looking for more reggae artists that want to grow and build something. I've got 2 artists on the label now. I've got a DJ from Jamaica named Philippidon who lives in Houston. He's a college professor at Houston Community College. And I've got another guy named Mo Montserrat who will be on stage with tonight at Flamingo. We play every Wednesday. That's right. We're on, what is it? Channel 16. Channel 16 at 11 p.m. Yeah, so we live stream every Wednesday, but I'm looking for more people that want to grow their career. I write songs, I come up with hooks, but I'm just looking for more folks, so I'm going to just put that in y'all's ear. And lots of other Caribbean things too. I love Haitian music a lot. I've been getting back into the soca thing in Trinidad, so, you know, things to make you move. But I'm looking for more people to develop. So if you guys know anybody you want to connect me to, I'd appreciate it. And let me know how I can help you guys as well. Thank y'all.
Do we got, okay. Gabe, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Javier Simons. I'm the founder of KOQ Agency. We've done national tours globally. I was out of Austin for 2 years. It feels great to come back. I was actually Shani's next door neighbor, and I got to enjoy the vibes every day. I just opened my balcony, and it was great. So great to see you. We got to connect again. I'm here because I want to build my music community. I want to be able to network. I want to be able to offer any advice when it comes down to the business side to any artist, when it comes down to your bookings, how to read those contracts, how to understand how to navigate those. I'll be more than happy to help you navigate that. And I'm here with one of my artists. Where's Lucky? Did she leave? Oh, Lucky and Wicho, they are from Retro Cowgirl Band, Texas' most electric band by some magazines, and they're going to be performing in San Antonio, right? Friday? Saturday, where? I don't want to say the Yellow Rose. The Wholesome Rose. And we have their debut album. They're starting to work on that, so we're going to start looking for labels. I know there's a lot of label people here, and so I just want to put my name out there. The name of my agency, by the way, I almost forgot, at KOQ Agency, KOQ Agency on all platforms. On my website, you can see the work we've done, and really excited to bring that into developing artists. So, and Contrast will be at Highland on Friday, DJing. So. Yeah, so this is my life partner, not my client, but he gets privileges. All right, that's it.
Anybody else? Okay. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. Hey, y'all, I'm Dave. I make music under the name Gentle Butterfly, but I think what I would like to offer to y'all is if you're at all interested in multi-channel Atmos music, I have an Atmos studio. If you're interested in getting into that or trying to understand how it works, please hit me up on Instagram, Gentle Butterfly Music. I will talk your ear off because I'm super excited about it. And this is just something I can provide. Hopefully, maybe it would be beneficial for y'all. So thanks. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. This is your second time here. Thanks for coming back. I think we have time for one more person. Does anybody else have anything they want to say or promote? Anybody?
Can I dance?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to. Oh, we got it.
love music. It's why I'm doing this and building technology to help musicians. I want to see better music in Austin, and not the music's bad, but the continuation of music. I feel like it's a thing that could have a tendency to just kind of die out if not taken care of. And I think it's the role of building the technology to help extend the lifespans of the artists. And that's what we got.
Oh, yeah. Is this our QR code to Prosper? Yes. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we have to be out of here soon, so this goes to prosperxo.com. You can connect with us there directly. The surveys are there too. They're not just for artists, also for community and fans, venues and brands. We want to hear from everybody. We want to hear what you're experiencing and what we can build to make it better and more sustainable and give more equity and ownership to artists. Honestly, we are all artists and we want to build this together, and that's like not even just like a line. We really want to build this alongside everybody. So please email us directly, reach out. We're all on social media too. It's on our Instagram. You could access all of our socials. I did, before Sheila is here, I was like hoping I would see her someday. We are always talking on the phone. I'm watching her show. She is literally the woman who has done the MTV of Austin through Austin Music TV, Channel 16. Is it every week?
Yeah, every Wednesday.
Yeah, you talk about you. That's better.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Lauren and the Prosper XO team. You guys are amazing, and I'm on board. I'm with you the whole time. So, I'm a TV producer here in Austin for Austin Public. I oversee a couple of other producers at the station, probably about 6 or 7. Flamingo Cantina. We go live at 11 from 11 to 11:30. And so we have a bunch of different shows, but really my show is all about promoting the local artist. You got a music video, I'm going to air it, and I'm going to promote your upcoming show. My whole point of doing this was to try to get people out to support the live music of Austin. No, we've lost it. You look at the Chronicle and you see this list, all the listings and all the venues. Nobody knows where to go. Nobody knows what music it is or anything. So I tried to curate an hour-long episode promoting 14 artists and where they're playing. And so hopefully out of those 14, our community would go out and actually support those people. Go see the music. My motto is pay the cover, tip the band, and buy the merch. Like everybody, that's how you keep it going. And so mine's through television and also online, but I think you're reaching another avenue. You've got radio, you've got online, everything's online, right? But you have to know what you're looking for. Television's a whole other outlet where we're going into people's living rooms and they might see your video on there, and the next thing you know, they're going to your show. So my thing has always been about supporting the local artist. And I started in 2014, and right now, tonight, as we speak, it's airing, and we're kickoff for season 31. So, and currently promoting a music festival. It's called She Rises Fest, and it's going to be in New Mexico, and it's all female artists and things like that. Tiara's played last year and stuff like that. So, anyways, I get really, really nervous talking. So, anyways, all right. So, thanks, guys, and reach out to me. Got music videos and shows. I'm here to promote you guys. You can look at supportaustinmusic.com, and then tune into Channel 16 and check out Wednesday night at 8 o'clock right now. And then 11, Flamingo. You'll see him on TV on the drums. What's the website? supportaustinmusic.com. Yes, and kind of the umbrella is Austin Music Television, because Shelley King's got a live show that she does. Music Firsthand, they're all about interviewing. It's comedians interviewing musicians, and so we air them. So I have a handful of other producers that are on other nights of the week. Flamingo Finger Pistol goes live at Little Longhorn Saloon on Tuesday night. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's stuff all the time. So
So anybody want to be a producer on TV, talk to me. I'll get your stuff out there. Thank you, guys.
Give her another round of applause. She does this all of herself, completely volunteer. Incredible. You're incredible. Thank you for being here. We have these every Wednesday, so please come to the next one. If you're interested in being a guest speaker, reach out. Again, on our website, you can directly reach out to us. Also, just send us anything you're interested in sharing. We also about to release our first podcast called Unmuted. Tyranny is the first guest. So there's a lot of stories he didn't tell tonight that are just like, we didn't have enough time for, but they're mind-blowing. I hope to have Dan on, but if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, please reach out too. And we're going to try and keep everybody updated about the tech side of things and the steps we're taking. We'll hopefully be releasing some content more about the process we're in right now and when you guys can get directly involved. But right now, share your voices, what you want to see built, what you want to see different, and what is working with you or working for you. And that's the most important. The last piece is pretty soon here, we're going to be releasing a letter to Congress. Now, of course, that's just a first step. I think the overlying piece of what we're doing, it's beyond building solutions, but it's building a path to systematic change within the industry. And so we are going to release a letter to Congress, ask for your support, and it's about protections for creators with AI, with data, with ownership, and just making sure we can not only build solutions, but build towards reform and real protection at a federal level. So that will be coming soon too, and we'll talk about that, I think, at the next meetup. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Stick around for a few more minutes. We do have to be out of here. Oh wait. Oh, soon. 8:30.
By 9.
Oh, by 9. So yeah, if you stick around, but we have to be out of here by 9. But yeah, thanks so much. Sorry, it's the second Wednesday of every month. I don't know if I said every Wednesday, but second Wednesday of every month. Sorry.
I'm just trying to share my religion. This is bigger than me, bigger than you. I'm just trying to share my religion. It's gonna be okay, okay, okay. 'Cause we gon' love this way, way, way. And even when the whole world doubts me, you'll believe me.
Last call for food and drinks. Gonna put those away in a minute. Grab any food if you want it. Any more drinks? Thank you. May I have your attention, please? We have about 5 minutes left. Please work on making your way home. You can't stay home. You can't go. You can't stay here, but you don't have to go home. So thanks for coming. We'd love to see you again. And make sure you check out our survey and website, prosperexo.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
just want to give you a hug too.
Oh, thank you so
thank
much.
you for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Friday. Yes, okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. That room is the...
about the life